Good evening, everyone. Let's see. I think, Mr. Medellin, can you hear me? Very good. Excellent. So let me do this and do this. And where is this? Okay, maybe we won't. Okay, that's fine. All right. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. It's 5:05. We're slightly behind schedule, but that's okay. It's a pretty short meeting. I'm just going to introduce our coach and let him take it away from there. But I want to say thank you so much for joining us. We are recording this meeting, and that way families who weren't able to join us live are able to join us, can watch the recording of the meeting. So this is the informational meeting for students and families who may be interested in participating in the Katherine Johnson FIYA basketball team this year. We had a really successful team 2 years ago pre-COVID, and it looks like we may be able to field a team again this year. So I've invited our coach, Coach Medellin, to meet with all of you tonight to go over a couple of important pieces of information to gauge interests. And yeah, we'll move from there. So I am going to shut up now and let Mr. Medellin take it away. He's got some information to share. There will be a time at the end for questions. So I'll let him field those. What he and I will do if there are questions that we don't know the answer to, Mr. Medellin and I will figure it out and get back to families in a little bit. So without any further ado, Mr. Medellin, take it away.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. Let me try to set up let me share my screen so you guys can check out my my PowerPoint. Give me 1 second. All right, guys, can you guys see my screen, my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Perfect. So hi, guys, I'm Mr. Medellin. I was privileged enough to be the coach for our basketball team 2 years ago, as Mr. Huntsberger mentioned. It was a great opportunity for all of our students. We are a very small school, so being able to offer basketball was a very big thing at our school. It's something that we kind of have open to everyone. It is a co-ed team. And part of what we do is, we get to play some of the local teams, but really the emphasis on the basketball team is just for kids to have fun, get an opportunity to, to play basketball, get out of their comfort zones, and just ultimately just have fun. So here's a little bit of information that I have based on our last, based on the team and what FIYA is. So what FIYA is a governing body that provides interscholastic sports competitions against elementary schools and middle schools in the LA area. They're a nonprofit. They've been around for about 10 years. And so FIYA is not in any way related to LAUSD. So any participation that your child would have, it's completely separate from the school and LAUSD. This is something that we just do in order for us to give students an outlet, with sports. And again, team building and kind of for the experience for everyone. Our experience, as Mr. Huntsberger mentioned, and I mentioned earlier, we had a lot of fun 2 years ago. We ended up winning our league, and we ended up going to, they have a version of like playoffs, and we were able to go on and experience that as well. Pretty much the schools that we typically play against are all private schools in the area. There's a few, like maybe 1 or 2 public schools that we play against, one of them being Culver City Middle School. and the last time we participated, I think they were the only one. If you have any questions with possible teams that we might play, you can always check out the link below, or if you go on the FIYA website and just search for participating schools. It varies year to year. FIYA is something that you do have to get a membership for, and any sport that you do play, you have to you have to register for. So it varies depending on the participation of each school and the availability of students that want to participate at those school sites. So it just varies from year to year. So part of the reason why we're having this meeting is that in order for us to facilitate, this basketball team, where there is a commitment that we're going to ask families to help out with a financial commitment, because it is something, like we said, it's not part of LAUSD. It's something that's completely funded through the school independently. In the past, we had a parent organization that assisted us in that regard, and also obviously help from different families. This year, we're trying to gauge interest just because of the financial commitment that it does take. We're asking families to commit to $100 per player. And part of what that commitment gets us, it pays for our membership fee for FIYA for other sports. It includes our registration fees. It also includes uniforms, and also the coach's stipend, which is mine, which is very minimal, to be honest, in terms of the amount of time that it takes to go to games and everything like that. If you are interested in doing so, we will kind of gauge all of your interests, take your information down, and the way that we're going to do it for the sake of speed and getting the money directly to FIYA, and kind of going around some of the rules as it relates to LAUSD, is if you want to send me the money directly to my Venmo or to Cash App, and then from there we'll use that money to then give to FIYA. In order for us to pay all of our our registration costs, as well as our uniforms and other costs that we may have as it relates to the team. Transportation, because this is not an LAUSD sponsored team or organization, any transportation that to and from games is unfortunately, that burden is going to be on parents and families to be able to transport each player to the games. In the past, what we've had in the past season, that we had a lot of families started to kind of create carpool groups, where one parent, if they had to work, could count on one parent 1 week, and vice versa. Typically, we have practice, which is at Westchester, maybe once or twice a week. And then we have our games typically sometimes once a week. And then as the season begins to kind of culminate, get to the end of the season, we end up having, a few more games after that, or a few more games a week, sorry. And that's pretty much it. So we're just trying to gauge interest, because we do want students to participate. We want to give them that opportunity to play basketball, to play, a sport in middle school, which is, in some schools very rare. But for us, we really try to get families involved and let them have an avenue, for their sports ambition, any sports that they would like to participate in. So I'm going to answer some questions that I'm getting. We have, let me see, Mr. Hunsberger posted. Is there anybody that has a question currently? Go ahead, Mr. Guerra.
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for doing this. Just one of the, I guess the main questions for me is in regards to academics and things like that. What how much time is that going to take away from school, and are the games going to be on the weekends or during the week?
You cut out a little bit, so I'm going to try to answer your question the best possible, because I think I got the gist of it. And if for whatever reason I missed something, please feel free to interrupt me. What we've done in the past is we've tried to keep it open to everyone. We do know that some students, this is like an incentive for them to, to get their grades up. And also every student is different. So some students are going through things at home, and just other situations in general. So we're very sensitive to that. So for the most part, I mean, if there's something that we can do to accommodate a student that they need, as it relates to academics, Mr. Hunsberger is very open to working on that, working with that on that student, being flexible. But in general, we try to do is we do try to keep the students hold them accountable in terms of their grades. In the past, we had like a minimum of a 2.0 for students to play. Again,
Right.
only if there's not that accommodation. In terms of practices, they're during the week and they're after school. They're not during the day. So it's completely after school. If your student would stay for like Beyond the Bell or for Beyond the Bell or tutoring, typically, we try not to get in the way of that. We're flexible with that as well. But it would be after school. So that might be part of the time commitment that parents might have to make a decision on. In terms of the games as well, they are during the week as well. So there's nothing on the weekend. Everything is during the week.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that was my question. I just wanted to make sure that way if Jace does participate, I want to make sure that I fit it within my schedule.
Of course, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Allman.
Hello. So regarding, I guess I want to make sure and I might have missed it. I know you said it's $100. Is that a one-time thing for the $100, and when is it due? And then how often do you guys expect to hold, I guess, how often would practice, what days will be practice? I'm assuming I see at Westchester High School, but then how many games will be done during the week? And is it mandatory if he has other outside activities?
Mm-hmm.
If he signs up for this stuff, is it mandatory that he's at every single game and every single practice? And I'm just he has commitments on Tuesdays and Thursdays right now. And so he's pretty much open the other days. And so I just want to make sure before I'm getting in, paying the money, getting into it. And also too, when they're playing games, are we going to different schools, or is it within LA, or are we going out, like if it's in Orange County or something like that?
Of course. So the $100 is a one-time fee, and that is pretty much front-loaded, so that way we can get all of these. So we can get pretty much, so we can pay for the registration fees. The registration cutoff is November 30th. So the purpose of this meeting was just to see if people would be even willing to pay for that, pay the $100 registration fee. And since it seems like we're getting a lot of interest, our goal was to have at least the $100 is in reference to what we calculated, Mr. Hunsberger and I, having at least 15 participants. So yes, the $100 would just be a one-time fee, assuming that there's 15, folks that would like to sign up. In terms of practices, we don't know. The season, I believe, was going to start in January. So we have a month to kind of figure out practices. What I try to do in the past, I know that everyone has a ton of things going on. There's in the past, we've had players who have participated who have, played baseball, or they, have outside obligations. So we try to be as flexible as we can. And we also try to plan, practice schedules around that. So if we have a majority of students that can stay on a Monday, then we'll make it on a Monday. If the majority of students, can stay on a Monday and a Friday, then we try to work around those parameters. In terms of the locations of games, most of the locations in games are in the area on the west side. What FIYA does is they try to break us up into sections. So we fall within, the west side part of the league. So most of the teams that we play, assuming they're the same, teams that we played in the past, the furthest I think they go is like downtown Culver City. I don't know if you folks are familiar with that, where they, like off of, I would say like Venice, and Mr. Hunsberger, you can help me with this if you remember.
Yeah, I remember. So 2 years ago, they played games at Culver City Middle School, and they played games near, I don't remember the name of the school. It was a private school near like in downtown Culver City. I can't remember if there was one additional location as well, Mr. Medellin, but I definitely remember those two.
Definitely. So those are, so I mean, for the most part, they're pretty local. Yeah, there, I mean, at least from the distance from our school, there was never a game that was more than like 20 minutes away driving.
Okay, so then you're saying, so practice will be once a week and then games can possibly be once or twice a week?
Yeah, so what they did the last time we participated in FIYA is we had games once a week, but as we started inching closer to the end of the season, there were instances where we had to play like 2 games a week. And that was just because it related to playoff seeding. And we were kind of getting, we were starting to see the threat of COVID. So I think they were trying to kind of compress the season and get everything done before they kind of anticipated everything closing down as well. So that could have been a one-time occurrence, but I'd like to err on the side of caution, and so kind of prepare folks for that. And if that doesn't happen, then then we're good. But yeah, what we experienced was having 1 game a week, and we actually had 2 practices every week. And again, after school, only for like 30, whatever we could do. Like if it was 30 minutes to an hour, that's what we could do. If there were students that could only participate for half an hour and then they had to go, have a prior obligation, we're very flexible with that. We just, like I mentioned before, what our ultimate goal is just for the kids to have fun, a place to just have a safe space to play basketball and learn new skills, regardless of where their skill level is currently. So again, we're just very flexible with that. As long as they're holding up their end of the commitment. And obviously, we understand what's going on with their situation. We're totally flexible with that.
Thank you.
No problem. Do we have any more questions? No, I had a question about, I've had this question.
Mr. Medellin, there may be some questions in the chat.
Yes, sir. I've had a few questions about, and this is with regards to the students as well. And I'm seeing a question in the chat now from a parent about tryouts. So in the past, we did not have tryouts. We just kind of wanted to make it open for everyone. However, if we do have 15 plus students that want to participate, that'd probably be a conversation that Mr. Hunsberger and I would have, because our ultimate goal is we do want everyone to participate. And again, regardless of what their skill set is, even if this is their first time playing basketball, it's a really nice experience. We've had a few players who we've seen, that played, their 6th grade year, who are now in 8th grade, and seeing a lot of like the development that they had, just being able to participate in the growth that basketball and this experience was able to kind of afford them. So definitely, will there be tryouts? Not sure, but yes, we do want to have, we would like for everyone to participate if possible. And then Mr. Hunsberger, maybe this is more of a question that you can answer from Ms. Mitzi. For NSBE, will this not interfere with basketball or vice versa?
Sure. Unfortunately, I can't promise anything one way or the other. As a small school, we've got, Miss Alvarado doing tutoring, and we've got Miss Dunklin doing NSBE, and we've got Miss Sabat doing Japanese club, and we've got maybe even a photography club coming up shortly. I'm talking with the teacher about that. And then we've got basketball. And, unfortunately, there simply aren't enough days in the week to accommodate all of those things, having their own day so a kid could do it without interfering. So I don't know at this point. What Mr. Medellin is going to do is he is going to gauge the team, and when they can practice, and find a time to practice that's going to help the most amount of team. I will also say this, that if you're a family and you're like, yep, I'm in, I'm in it, here's my $100, boom, count me in. And then, you know, we try to get practices going, and like you look at the schedule and you literally cannot make those practices work, and you cannot make the games work, and you have to withdraw, we would refund that. We're not gonna, do that. But we want to take care of all of that before the end of November, because that is when the FIYA deadline is.
Yes, the FIYA deadline is November 30th. And that's kind of why we wanted to have this meeting now. So we're not rushing, a few days before or whatnot. Because, when we're at school, a lot of the students, they want to participate, but sometimes, there's a disconnect between what they're, telling us at school and then like what they're sharing at home. So we wanted to make sure to be as transparent as possible and kind of just gauge, parents' interests and whether or not they would be able to fulfill that commitment. And again, like I said, we're very flexible. We just want the kids to have fun. So whatever that takes, and like Mr. Huntsberger mentioned, we're offering a ton of other extracurriculars, clubs at our school, which is a good thing. And so we want them to be able to experience those things, but at the same time, we also want them to, be a part of the team as much as possible, and being able to exploit that in the best way that they possibly can. I have a parent asking me, Ms. Perry's asking if I can put my Cash App information. So I'm going to give you folks my Cash App. If you would like me to also post another, any of my other, I do have Venmo, I have Cash App, and I think that's it. If you want, actually, what I'll do to be uniform is tomorrow I will create a flyer, and we will send it on Schoology, Mr. Huntsberger. Is that okay?
We'll send it everything. We'll send it on Schoology. We'll send it on Blackboard. We'll send it on Class Dojo. I will tie it to a carrier pigeon and send the carrier pigeon to everyone's home. Yes.
And I think we'll do smoke signals as well, just to make sure that everybody gets it. I'm just kidding. So we'll have all that information for you guys there. So that way it can be more uniform when I'm receiving the funds to be able to pay for that. So and I want to be fair to everyone as well. So does anybody have any more questions by chance? Oh, okay, I think we're good, Mr. Huntsberger.
Y'all are rock stars. Let's give it up for Coach Medellin. Thank you so much, Coach Medellin. So he's going to make a flyer with more information, as well as how to actually sign up your child. And on the registration form, Mr. Medellin, put your email so that folks can contact you directly. But as always, folks can contact me directly too. But Mr. Medellin is going to be your go-to person in terms of this. So I got nothing else, Mr. Medellin, unless you do.
I do not. Wait, did you want me to put my email on the chat? Is that what you said? I'm sorry.
You can if you want to, but put it on the flyer tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll do that as well. But let me post my email here as well. And yes, I will post all of my information on the flyer as well, folks.
Cool. Awesome.
All righty, guys.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir. Close us out.
You guys have a great evening. Thank you for stopping by, and you guys have a good night.
Thank you.